I had just placed the tray of chicken pot pie in the oven when the doorbell rang. Perfect timing, I muttered, wiping my hands on the apron and heading down the hallway. The kitchen still carried the scent of herbs and melted cheese, my husband Adam's favorite dinner. My daughter, little Lily, 3 years old, had just fallen asleep upstairs after a fussy afternoon from a mild cold. I figured it was the delivery guy, so I didn't rush, but when I opened the door, I froze. A woman stood there. Tall, light brown skin, long wavy black hair, wearing a beige blazer and tailored trousers like she'd just stepped out of a high-level boardroom, not onto my suburban Nashville porch on a Tuesday afternoon. "Josephine Campbell?" Her voice was even and firm. "Yes, that's me," I answered, instinctively nudging the door slightly closed. "I'm Vanessa Lee. We need to talk about Adam." A chill ran down my spine. That name. Vanessa. I had seen it flash on my husband's phone once, then twice, always dismissed with the same excuse, just an old coworker, wrong number. But the way she said his name, with possession and certainty, made my hand tighten on the doorframe. "Adam's at the office," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "If you need to reach him, you can call directly." Vanessa didn't move. She pulled out her phone, tapped a few times, then held the screen up. "No, he's not at the office. He's at the Avalon Hotel, room 608, same as every Tuesday afternoon, for nearly a year." My heart dropped out of my chest. I gripped the doorframe until my knuckles turned white. "I think you should leave," I said, my voice hoarse, throat tightening. "I didn't come to destroy anything," Vanessa replied, her tone softening. She swiped her phone. "But I thought you should see this." On the screen was a photo of Adam, my husband, leaning in to kiss her, clearly taken in an Italian restaurant. Then more, walking on a beach, hugging in a hotel mirror, Adam asleep on a bed, wearing the same t-shirt I had washed for him the day before. "Stop," I whispered, unsure if I was talking to her or to myself. Vanessa lowered the phone. "I thought I was the only one," she said, locking eyes with me. "Until last week, when I found his bank records and saw your name, Lily's name, this house. Then I realized I wasn't the special one he said I was." The scent of something burning began to drift in from the kitchen. I stumbled back, opened the oven, and pulled out the tray of chicken. The cheese had blackened. Vanessa stepped inside like she knew the layout. I placed the tray on the counter, my hands trembling. "So, why did you come here?" I asked, still staring at the ruined dish. "Because both of us deserve the truth, even if it's brutal." She placed a thick paper envelope on the table. "Everything's in here. Photos, messages, statements, hotel receipts, bank transfers, all traceable." I didn't touch the envelope. Upstairs, I heard Lily shift in her sleep. That sound grounded me. "You should go," I said, steady this time. Vanessa nodded. "One more thing," she added as she stepped toward the door. "He's already drafted the divorce papers, planning to file by the end of the month. There's a draft on his laptop." I remained rooted as the door shut behind her. A soft "Mommy" echoed from upstairs. I turned, eyes landing on our wedding photo in the living room. Adam's smile now looked more like mockery than memory. I slipped off my wedding ring and placed it next to the envelope. The sound of metal hitting wood rang sharp and final. I lifted my head and took a deep breath. "I'm coming, sweetheart," I called, then headed upstairs. Adam came home at 6:10 p.m. just like usual. He set his bag on the table, leaned in to kiss my cheek like nothing had happened, like the double life he was living didn't exist. "What smells good?" he asked, taking off his coat and walking toward the kitchen. "Chicken pot pie, it got a little burnt," I replied, rinsing vegetables in the sink, trying to keep my tone even. He didn't notice my colder gaze, didn't sense the shift in my voice. Adam tilted his head toward the oven. "I'll order takeout. Don't push yourself if you're tired." I inclined my head slightly. "Are you tired?" Room 608 at the Avalon seemed pretty quiet today. Adam froze. That name, that hotel, was clearly not something he expected to hear in his own kitchen. I I don't know what you're talking about. I set the peeler down on the cutting board and wiped my hands with a kitchen towel. Vanessa Lay stopped by this afternoon. She was dressed nicely, spoke clearly, brought a full gallery of photos, cozy restaurant dinners, romantic hotel rooms. Adam turned pale, but his voice stayed in its usual calm tone. Josephine, listen. 8 months, Adam. I cut him off, meeting his eyes. And were you planning to tell me about the divorce papers on your laptop? Or just wait until I found out myself? He swallowed hard, trying to move closer. It's not what you think. I was going to tell you, I just didn't expect Vanessa to come first. I let out a dry laugh, my voice now razor sharp. She thought you loved her. I thought you were my husband. Turns out, we were both wrong. Lily cried upstairs, calling Mama into the silence of the house. I walked past Adam and went to pick her up. He didn't stop me. He just stood there, watching, calculating. That night, after Lily had fallen sound asleep, I quietly opened my laptop and dug through all the files. I found the draft of the divorce petition saved under the name Planning 2024. Alongside it were email threads with his private attorney and scattered note files. Asset calculations, division plans, even a timeline labeled, Ideal Time to Move Out. My heart grew colder with each beat. I backed everything up onto an external hard drive and tucked it deep in my purse. The next morning, I called someone I'd only ever contacted for real estate matters, Maya Carlson, an old friend of my mother's, and now a divorce and asset division attorney in Memphis. We met at a small cafe, unnoticed among the scent of espresso and soft jazz, 2 women quietly strategizing legal warfare. Everything you found is valid, Maya said, flipping through screenshots and account statements. But if you really want to flip the script, we'll need financial evidence. Wire transfers, hidden assets, possibly even tax evasion traces. Adam has a secondary account, I said slowly, recalling how he always dodged questions about our shared savings. I once saw the name of a bank I didn't recognize pop up on a statement he folded up too quickly. Gaining access to that account is priority 1. Maya pushed the folder toward me. Are you ready, Josephine? I looked out the window. It was drizzling. I thought of Vanessa, of Lily's smile, of the burnt chicken pot pie from last night, and of the man who once promised he'd never hurt me. That evening, I took Lily to my mother's and told her I needed a few quiet days. She didn't ask much, just held my hand tightly. I returned to the house I once called home, now as an uninvited guest. Adam was sitting on the couch, watching TV, a beer beside him. Where's Lily? He asked. At her grandmother's, I replied. I'm just here to grab a few things. He started to say something, but I didn't let him. I bent down, opened the drawer beneath the filing cabinet where Adam kept the bills, and found it. A bank statement from an unfamiliar account, with thousands of dollars withdrawn on the same date each month. Every transaction matched Adam's business trip schedule. I folded the paper and slipped it into my coat pocket. I didn't say a word. Tomorrow, Maya would have what she needed. And I would have something I never thought I'd have to reclaim: control over my own life. 2 days later, I sat in Maya's office, holding a printed statement showing nearly $173,000 withdrawn over the past 9 months. This isn't just infidelity, Maya said, her voice tense. Adam used your joint account to pull funds, then rerouted them into a personal account under a different name. That suggests fraudulent intent, possibly even a criminal offense if there's concealment or misuse. I sat still, a numbness spreading through my arms. So where did the money go? I asked, my voice low. Maya typed quickly, opening another document window. We're tracing the transfers. A large portion went to a company called Eden South Property Ventures, registered virtually in Florida, but there are no actual projects at the listed address. I frowned. Adam once said he was investing in real estate, said he was laying the foundation for Lily's future, even sent me design sketches of model homes. Maya turned her screen toward me. These ones? With a tight throat, I gave a small nod. The photo that had once reassured me was actually a stock image, lifted from a 3-year-old seminar presentation. Josephine, Maya said gently but firmly, your husband didn't just betray you emotionally. He might be running a financial scam under the guise of real estate investment. That afternoon, when I returned home to gather more documents, a man was waiting at the door. Gray suit, burgundy tie, polite smile that didn't quite hide the tension. Apologies for showing up unannounced. I'm Trent Walker, a close friend of Adam's. The name sounded familiar. Adam had mentioned him before, a CFO at some development firm. The guy who had helped close the deal of a lifetime. I'm busy, I said, keys in hand. Just a few minutes, Adam's worried about you. He asked me to explain things in a more reasonable way. I unlocked the door and stepped inside, not inviting him in. Still, Trent followed, shutting the door behind him like he belonged. Adam placed his trust in the wrong hands, he began, tone vaguely apologetic. You know how it is with men. Sometimes mistakes aren't worth destroying everything over. I set my bag down and turned to face him. A mistake that involves siphoning hundreds of thousands of dollars from a family account into a shell company? Trent's brow furrowed. You're misinformed. Eden South isn't a shell. It's a confidential pre-launch project. That's why it needed to stay discreet. I have legal counsel and they're working with forensic finance experts. That so-called confidential project has assets but no license, no staff, not even a real office. Are you sure you want to keep going with this story? The confidence faded from Trent's eyes. He lowered his voice. I'm just here to offer a soft landing. Adam's willing to repay the funds. There won't be any lawsuits, no press. All we ask is that you let go. I gave a faint laugh, one without relief. Do you know Adam already filed the divorce papers? That he planned to secretly remove me from the house title and shift everything to his old flame's name? Trent didn't reply. His eyes shifted away. If you're here to negotiate, I said, stepping closer, you've got the wrong woman. And tell Adam, I've been quiet for far too long. He chose betrayal, secrecy, and treating me like an obstacle, so now I'll become the one thing he didn't prepare for. Trent looked at me one last time. Be careful, Josephine. Not everyone wants the truth exposed. I'm not like the others. I opened the door. Get out before I call the police. That night, Maya sent me a preliminary report. Adam had transferred over $186,000 across 4 different accounts, most of it withdrawn immediately after arrival. Those transfers were linked to a third party, Emily Rose, a name I had never seen before. I texted Maya back, keep digging, I want to know who she is. This time, I wasn't going to wait for Adam to strike first. I was sitting in my mother's living room just before midnight, paperwork scattered across the table, my laptop still lit with rows of encrypted transaction data, when the doorbell rang sharply. My mother got up first, but I was already on my feet. That familiar chill swept across my chest like a cold wind. When the door opened, I was face to face with the woman whose name I had only learned a few weeks earlier, Vanessa Lee. And this time, she was nothing like the polished version I had met. Her hair was tied back in a rush, eyes red and puffy, coat worn inside out. In her hand, her phone displayed a private Instagram page, with one line glowing across the top. She said yes. Adam. His arm around the shoulders of a blonde woman in a red dress, the soft lights of a restaurant twinkling behind them like a movie scene. On her finger, a ring I'd never seen. Her name is Emily Harmon, Vanessa said hoarsely. They've been engaged for a week. I only found out because one of my yoga students shared a dinner photo from Charlotte. The world didn't collapse, just a slow rising cold from the soles of my feet like sinking in mud. Vanessa showed more pictures. Adam and Emily touring homes, taking Christmas photos at a ski lodge in Aspen, holding hands by a Christmas tree, his face radiant, as if Josephine Campbell and a daughter named Lily had never existed. He told her I was an ex with obsession issues, Vanessa murmured, her voice drained. And that you were his long-separated wife. Oh, for each of us. And maybe, for more women than just us. I inhaled slowly, battling the wave of nausea swelling within me. The humiliation wasn't personal anymore. It was structural, a full-blown operation. He's not just a cheater, I said quietly. He's running a network of deception. Masked as a businessman, a perfect father, a reasonable husband. Vanessa sat down, trembling. I used to be a legal assistant in Denver, she said after a long silence. I saw a case like this once, a man with 3 identities, 2 families, and a chain of shell companies. He ended up getting arrested for federal financial fraud. Josephine, I think Adam's done this before, in another city. To someone else. Would you be willing to help me? Not just for revenge, I continued. To stop this. For good. The next morning, Vanessa and I arrived at an FBI field office in Nashville with the documents Maya and her forensic financial team had gathered over the past 2 weeks. Agent Carlisle, a sharp-anged woman in her 40s, reviewed each folder without blinking. Eden South, Eden North, and Harmon Fund, she said, scrolling through the list of entities Adam had set up. All shell companies, no staff, no real operations, just shells to receive money. What can you do? I asked. Agent Carlisle stared at me for a long moment. If these funds came from unclear sources and the investment promises were deceptive, this qualifies as federal fraud. But to act, we need one more link. Something he didn't plan for. Then I remembered something. He's hosting an investor dinner at Birkeland and Vine this Friday, with people flying in from 3 different states. Some are old friends, others donated through his fake charity program. Carlisle nodded. A perfectly staged trap for a perfectly timed takedown. I gripped my phone tightly. I'll be there. Birkeland and Vine sparkled with warm light, the clink of glasses and elegant laughter blending with soft jazz. Adam stood at the center of it all, like the lead in a one-man show. He was presenting an unmissable investment opportunity in a lakeside real estate development. His voice was smooth, his gestures calculated to exude success and credibility. I lingered in the dimmest corner, clad in a sleek black dress, hair pinned up to reveal my neck, my wedding ring gone. In my hand was a glass of wine, purely for effect. Vanessa sat at a side table nearby, phone ready with the recording app open. At the bar, Agent Carlisle chatted casually with the man posing as a potential investor. Her hand rested near her purse, where the trigger device was concealed. Everything was in place. Adam hadn't seen me yet, but I had never seen him more clearly. He placed his hand on Emily's shoulder, the newest member in his eternal rotation. She laughed, unaware she was standing at the edge of a cliff. I stepped toward the main table. Every step was deliberate. When I reached it, no one noticed, until I spoke. Adam Morgan, my husband, maybe you'd like to introduce me to your fiancé? The room fell silent. Even the music seemed to hold its breath. Emily blinked. Husband? Adam turned, his face draining of color. Josephine. I gave a thin smile. Yes. Full name, Josephine Campbell Morgan. Mother of his daughter, the one conveniently left out of all these presentations. I placed my phone on the table, the screen showing transfer logs from our joint account to Eden South Ventures. And here's a list of fake investments, phantom assets, and promises never meant to be kept, I said, turning to the now murmuring investors. He used my money, her money, I nodded to Vanessa, now approaching, and soon yours, to feed a flawlessly staged financial scam. Emily shot up from her chair. Adam, what is she talking about? Do you share a joint account? I asked her, not waiting for a reply. I'm guessing yes. And the money you sent for that future investment? It's already gone. Adam stammered. You're insane, Josephine, this is private. No. I cut in, eyes fixed on the bar. A subtle nod from Agent Carlisle. Seconds later, the restaurant doors swung open. 3 men in plain clothes moved quickly through the crowd. Adam Morgan, one of them called out. We're with the FBI. You're under arrest for federal financial fraud, embezzlement, money laundering, and falsifying investment documents. Adam turned to run, but one of the agents grabbed him by the arm. Emily screamed. The investors all stood up at once, phones raised to capture every second of his spectacular downfall. I have a lawyer, Adam shouted, struggling. This is a misunderstanding. I remained motionless, my gaze fixed firmly on him. It's not a misunderstanding, Adam, I said. It's the truth. You just don't control the story anymore. As the agents cuffed him, our eyes met, his filled with fear, helplessness, and rage. The next morning, news of Adam's arrest spread across financial social media. Headlines labeled him the two-faced entrepreneur and the regional Ponzi king. The Eden South office shut down, accounts were frozen. Maya and I filed a civil suit, demanding personal damages and legal protection for Lily's assets. I also re-registered the house solely under my name. In the small room behind Maya's law office, I sat across from her, a cold cup of tea by my hand. "You don't have to be there," Maya said. "It's just an arraignment. He'll hear the charges and be held pending trial." I shook my head. "I want to see him when there's no performance left to hide behind." A week after the arraignment, I received a call from Adam's defense attorney. "My client is willing to plead guilty to all charges," he said, his voice flat like reading the weather. "In exchange, he's requesting visitation rights with the child. Supervised only, no outside hours, no physical contact." I was silent for a long moment. My answer had been clear for a long time. "No," I replied, each word firm as stone. "Adam doesn't deserve to see Lily again. Not as a father, not as anything. You might want to reconsider. He could reveal certain secrets you'd prefer stay hidden." I let out a cold laugh. "Tell him to try." I hung up. Less than 24 hours later, I got a text from Vanessa. "Urgent, meet me. It's about Portland, 2016. Important." I went to her apartment in a quiet suburb of Franklin that evening. She greeted me with a thick folder in hand. Adam used an alias, Nathan Carter, to run a small investment firm in Portland. Vanessa said, her hand trembling slightly. "I found an internal report from a past victim. A woman named Leah Madsen. She lost everything. Her savings and she took her own life a few weeks later." The air froze in the room. Her family was never able to get legal proof. All they knew was that Leah had been betrayed by someone she loved and trusted in business. Vanessa slid an old newspaper across the table, its headline smudged. "Young woman missing after financial collapse, suicide suspected." I sat in silence. I thought I knew everything. But Adam was never just a cheater. He was a destroyer, calculated and cold. I brought the folder to the FBI the next morning. Agent Carlisle accepted it, her eyes darkening as she looked at Leah's photo. "I need to know this won't be ignored," I said. "Not just for me, for her. For every woman Adam Morgan ever manipulated, used, and discarded." Carlisle inclined her head in agreement. "We'll expand the investigation to other cities." But it didn't stop there. 2 days later, my mother called at dawn, panic in her voice. "Josephine, someone asked about Lily at daycare. Not a teacher, not a parent." A chill raced down my spine. I called Carlisle immediately. She confirmed something worse. "We have signs that information leaked from the detention center. We suspect a guard has been compromised. Adam may be planning an escape." I moved Lily and my mother into an FBI safe house immediately. We were placed in a small home outside Knoxville, guarded 24 hours a day with surveillance cameras and encrypted communications systems. But I knew, if Adam wanted something, he wouldn't stop until he had it. On the third night in the safe house, I couldn't sleep. Lily was curled up beside me, clutching her favorite stuffed bear. I turned on the hidden transmitter Carlisle gave me, a chip the size of a fingernail sewn into the bear's ear that recorded and tracked location. A soft noise behind the house made me jump. I crept to the kitchen window, the curtains drawn tight, but I saw a shadow in the backyard. And footsteps. I grabbed my phone and typed into the encrypted app. Confirmed breach, initiate phase 2. Less than 3 minutes later, I heard glass shatter. I held Lily tighter, stepped back into the bedroom and pressed the red button behind the nightstand. A man's voice came from behind me. "Don't scream, I just want the child." I turned around. Adam, his hair messy, face pale, but the same smile. The one that once softened me. Now, it sickened me. "You'll never get her," I said, stepping between him and Lily. He pulled out a stack of papers. "Sign over custody, or I take her and disappear. There's someone waiting at the border." I smirked. "You should look up." At that moment, floodlights snapped on. FBI agents stormed the house. Adam turned to flee but was tackled instantly. I rushed to Lily, still asleep. Carlisle appeared beside me and nodded. "The bear's chip recorded every word of his threat. We have everything we need." 6 months after Adam was recaptured at the safe house, the final verdict was delivered. 20 years in federal prison without parole for 12 charges, including wire fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy to commit child abduction. He sat silently in court, the gray prison uniform unable to hide the ruin on the once trusted face. When the judge finished reading the sentence, Adam only curled his lip. No reaction. I never met his eyes again. I turned to Lily, sitting on my mother's lap in the back row, hugging the old teddy bear that had saved both our lives. We had nothing left to say to Adam Morgan. 3 weeks after the trial, Vanessa and I met one final time at a small cafe in Edge Hill. She was preparing to move to Denver, where Leah Madson's family lived. I want to help them file a new suit, she said, not just to get justice for their daughter, but to finally do the right thing for myself. I nodded. You're the one who ended his web of lies. Leah deserves to be heard, and you deserve a life without fear. Vanessa handed me a small envelope. This is yours. A copy of a letter Leah once wrote to her best friend. She never sent it. She thought no one would believe her story. But now, they will. The following spring, I opened my own consulting firm, naming it Lighthouse Strategies, a symbol of guiding light amid storms. My first client was a middle-aged woman recently out of a marriage with a manipulative businessman. When I shared my journey, she just held my hand and said, "Thank you for not staying silent." Lily and I's new apartment was on the 3rd floor, overlooking a small park. Every morning I took her down to play, brewed coffee in the tiny kitchen, and played soft jazz, the very sound Adam once mocked as boring. Now, it was pure peace. I no longer had nightmares, but sometimes I still dreamed of Adam standing at the end of a hallway, silent, just watching. I'd wake up, take a deep breath, and touch the silver ring hanging on my necklace. The old wedding band melted down into a pendant. A reminder. I once loved, once trusted, once fell. But I didn't stay there. One early April afternoon, Lily and I walked in the nearby park. She ran across the grass, her brown hair flying in the wind, clutching a paper airplane tight. "Mom, can I fly up to the sky?" Lily asked, looking up at me with innocent eyes. I knelt down, smoothing her hair. "You can do anything, as long as you're not afraid to fall." She giggled and ran on, leaving me standing there, feeling oddly light. The sky that day was crystal clear without a cloud. Children's laughter echoed, wind whispered through the trees. Everything was simple, but deeply precious. I looked up, watching Lily waving at birds, the breeze, and the endless sky. "We're free now," I whispered, a promise to myself. Josephine's story is more than just escaping a dangerous, cheating husband. It's a testament to inner strength, when a woman dares to face the truth, protect her child, and rewrite her own life. In real life, some falls seem impossible to get up from, but it's from those moments we learn to stand stronger, wiser. Josephine didn't become a victim. She became her own guide, and a beacon for those silently suffering. What do you think about Josephine's choices and what she went through? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to follow the channel for more touching and inspiring stories about life, family, and the power of renewal.